Hey everyone, so I got my buildings done. All three here that I said I wanted to work on this weekend are put together. So these are obviously not painted. They're just raw styrene right now with some filler in some areas that I messed up, and there's plenty of mistakes making these, but I just wanted to go through them real quick. So I discussed these in my last video. These are my three backdrop buildings. The one over here, the big warehouse, this is probably going to be Sears Appliance. I made this one. These are all off of models or prototypes that actually exist in Detroit, and I've shown those in the last video. I'll show them again here. But this first one is serviced by rail, just kind of a big concrete warehouse with corrugated steel at the top that was blocking out the windows basically. So I kind of mimicked that to it. The actual one on the railroad doesn't have servicing doors, so I added some doors there because this will be a servicing building basically that I'll have trains stopping at. Next one here, these next two I should say are both non-servicing buildings. They're just there for the backdrop. So first one, just a cinder block style building. Everything facing the tracks is basically boarded up or blocked out. No actual access to the rails. And then same with this longer building as well. Same design. Pretty much everything on it has been blocked out facing the rails. So as far as I could tell, neither of these buildings exist in Detroit, serviced, had any rail service. And that's kind of what I'm using them here, just for buildings to fill the background. So we can jump back over to the bench and we'll take a closer look at them. So here's the first building. This is that Quaker Houghton building that I showed in the last video. I made this a little bit taller than what the actual prototype was. I like my background buildings to be taller. It's just a basic concrete block building, and I kind of looked at the prototype and just modeled after roughly what it was. It had three windows that were all blacked out, handful of doors and other things were bricked out or blocked out as well. The roof line of the building got higher down the end. I just made it a little bit higher halfway through-ish. I added the downspout just because that'll be interesting for some weathering and just add some variation to the building for that matter. Besides that, it's it. I mean, this didn't take me long to make. It took me about 2 hours. Pretty simple build to do it. I mean, there's plenty of mistakes on it too, and I'll touch up a little bit with some modeling, probably just fill cracks and things like that. And then once I paint it and weather it, it'll look pretty good, I feel. But so here's the second building. This is the big warehouse, most likely to be an appliance, Sears Appliance distribution, I believe is what it'll be on the layout. And this is a real building, again, Detroit, I showed in the video, and I kind of modeled it after that design because it was a really simple building. It didn't take me very long to build this either. The only difference is I added a couple servicing doors for the actual rail that will be serviced by boxcars for this industry. That wasn't actually in the prototype. I don't think this building was ever serviced by rail. I'm not 100% sure, but on my layout it will be. So the prototype basically is just concrete slabs for the actual side of the building. Then it's got this corrugated metal up at the top too that covered all the windows up there. So I added that to the actual model. I mean, this building's pretty big too. It's, let's see, 24 I think it was. Yeah, 24 inches overall. So again, I made it big just to fill the backdrop. The more I have back there, less sky you see. Eventually I'll get some backdrop images back there to kind of fill it in too, make it look nicer. But I was pretty happy with how this turned out. I think it'll look good once it's all painted. And then here is the last industry. So this one is probably the closest to what the actual building looked like on the prototype. Again, another industry that's right on the tracks, although I don't ever think it was serviced by rail. Maybe somewhere, it had been in the past. I don't believe it was, though. But I just needed the filler for the backdrop for that area there. And this one I thought was another kind of unique building that was kind of mix it up in terms of what I have on the layout. So just brick construction, a couple windows on this half that has the brick there, and those are all blacked out with some type of corrugated steel. Then long window along the entire side of the building too that's all blocked out with same corrugated steel. And then it's got some type of aluminum cladding or something for the upper fascia on the building there as well. So again, really simple design, didn't take very long to build. These are all really inexpensive to build too. I had a lot of the plastics, the styrene. I bought a couple more sheets of stuff, but I mean, that stuff goes a long way when you buy it. But again, I think this one will be pretty good once it's painted and weathered. This will be a fun one to weather. It's got a lot of rust staining on the steel and things like that. So I'm happy with how it turned out. And once this is back there and it's got weeds and some grass overgrown it, kind of like on the prototype, I think it'll look pretty good. So I didn't film myself or do any footage of myself building these buildings. I mean, if you want to see somebody who really knows what they're doing building these, go watch the Boomer Diorama, his channel. He's the one that's really given me the inspiration of building models like this, because this is something typically I'd never done in the past. I would kit bash with Walthers kits and things like this. I like Walthers kits; they're great kits. But to create things that are really, really unique and the way that he does it, I mean, it's just he's an absolute master in the way that he is just models and the way that he explains things. So again, I've just been watching his videos like crazy. I have been for years. I've gone back and watched a bunch of his old ones in the buildings too, just to remember tips and techniques in terms of how he actually built them. But that's kind of, what I've been doing with these. It's just kind of using his techniques, and his channel is just absolutely amazing, the stuff that he builds. So every building I do, I get a little bit better, and that's what it comes down to. Like I said, there's tons of mistakes in these, but I'm okay with them. Once I paint them, I think they'll look just fine. Painting will be the next step. I've got a cheap Amazon airbrush booth that I use in my basement here. I actually bought another one because I found out you can hook two of them together to make it bigger, and I need it bigger because these 24-inch buildings, one of them's not big enough to paint it in. So that'll be here this week. I'll be able to start painting these and get them on the layout. So that'll be kind of the next step for these buildings. So anyway, backdrop buildings are done. Like I said, got to paint next, and that's really it for this video. So thank you for watching.